the honor to just interview some of the most amazing leaders on our team. And one of my favorite things about doing this is just letting you guys know who is behind a lot of the awesomeness that happens on our team pages, a lot of the awesomeness that happens behind the scenes that you might not even get to see. And sometimes when we interview people from other teams, they're not in our team page. They don't, they're not doing the behind the scenes work for our team specifically. And so when I get the honor of interviewing the freaking people on our team, oh my gosh, I've been finding myself saying freaking all the time. And my son said it today and he was like, why is that freaking car here? And I was like, oh no. Okay, I got to stop saying it. Okay, but anyways, so I have the honor of just interviewing some amazing leaders from our team, and I'm so excited to do so tonight. I have Kelsey Offermann on here. Kelsey, I still have your name as Kelsey Fisher in my phone. Because that was her maiden name. But I just love her. She's such a gem, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear from her tonight. So Kelsey, if you will just share a little bit about how you found the business and what your life was like before.
Hi guys. So 2 years ago, April of 2018 is when the business really found me because I was not looking for it. For about a year prior to joining, I had probably 5 to 10 girls in my Instagram inbox every single month cold messaging me. We'll get into that later, but I was so put off by it. And I had tried the products, the wraps and the berry greens about 4 years, I think, prior. When I was kind of gaining the freshman 15, and I had a really bad experience because that distributor, I was stupid for not asking, but she just was like, what's your info? She didn't tell me about the 3 months. And I was like, oh, this is a scam. And then I said, oh, the products don't work, but I wasn't using them right. So to this day, because I thought it was a scam and and I really hated everybody messaging me. I find it hilarious that I even joined. But yeah, so Connie added me on Instagram, adding to her network randomly. I lived at the time in New York from Illinois, and she lived in Arizona. So how she found me, I don't know, probably on a dog page, because when I was on Instagram, I was just liking dog pages and whatnot. But she ended up interacting with me probably 2 to 3 weeks, and liking my posts, commenting and stuff. And she finally cold messaged me in a way, and said, if I send you a video, would you watch it, talking about what I do to make an extra income? I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And I actually watched it. I'm still shocked at that. And I wasn't really looking for an extra income, and I wasn't even thinking about it. I knew that I was in credit card debt and student loan debt, but I wasn't actively thinking of a way to get out of it. I just thought, oh, this is how it is. Everyone does this, so it's fine. But I ended up, after probably 2 weeks of back and forth texting and doing phone calls with her, ensuring me it wasn't a pyramid scheme. I was that really annoying potential distributor, come on, just join. And I was like, okay. So I finally did. And my first 2 weeks, I really didn't even work or anything. And then I got on a Zoom, a 3-way with Connie and Kelsey, and opened my eyes up to exactly how big this can be for your life. And they were like, so what do you want monthly? And I'm like, $200 a month. And I was like, yeah, that'll pay for the phone bill. But I wasn't even dreaming big yet, because I had thousands in credit card and student loan debt. But that was my goal. I was like, okay, $200 a month for the phone bill. That's what I want to do. Kelsey, do you want me to keep going with my story? Because that's how I started. I don't know.
So before that, what was your job? What?
Oh yeah. So let's go back to, I guess, college. So I was not a brainiac or anything in high school. And then getting into college, I was getting out the student loans, and everyone around me, all the females, were like, healthcare is the way. Everyone in my family was doing it. And they're like, that's the only way you can make good money as a female, basically, is what was instilled in my brain. I love the idea of helping people. And from the time I was 15, I was working in a nursing home, a dietary aide, and I loved working with the elderly. My grandpa has a special place in my heart because he raised me, and he ended up having a stroke at 12. So he was always in the nursing homes, and that's how I kind of got into that. And then from there, I ended up getting my CNA while in high school. And I was like, okay, I'll like keep going in the medical field. So I get into college and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be an x-ray tech. And then I changed my mind the next semester. I'm like, no, I'm going to be a medical receptionist and aide. And then I was like, no, I'm going to change my mind again. And I can't remember now that third, but I was like, what am I doing? And I had applied the final one for the physical therapy assistant program because I was working at the veterans home as a rehab tech. And my now husband, who was only my boyfriend at the time, we were living in Illinois, and he got a promotion to move to New York for the railroad. And I was like, oh God, this guy I really love that I chased for like a year is going to move away from me. And he was like, no, you should come with. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, well, I just applied for the PTA program and I got my prerequisites done. I'm like, what about all that? And I said, okay, whatever, I'll go. And then like a week after deciding that, okay, we're going to do it, and it was a week from moving across the country, I got my acceptance letter to the PTA program. And for a second I was like, oh, is this a sign? Because I really didn't think I was going to get accepted. Like, do I go to college or do I go to New York? So I followed my boyfriend like a crazy lunatic, but thank God, because he's now my husband and father of my child. But then in New York, I ended up getting a job as a medical receptionist, and which was what I was going to go to college for. I'm like, what? I don't need to go to college for that here in the East Coast. So I was doing that and I loved it. And then we ended up getting engaged, and my crazy husband's like, let's get married in 9 months. And I'm like, no. How about a year? And we're like, okay. Because I had no money in savings, and yeah, he was making decent money, but I'm like, oh my God, this man is going to pay for a whole wedding. And that's when kind of like the self-loathing and everything started. Like, that was a low point for me. And I was like, I don't want to rely on a man the rest of my life. So I started like binge eating, gaining all this weight. And then we ended up getting transferred again to now Pennsylvania. And that's around the time that this found me. So the time that I joined this business, I was 2 months away from our destination wedding, which we drove to, by the way, 21 hours to Florida, packed up our Jeep with all the decorations because our wedding planner was useless. So, and then I was also starting a new job as a medical receptionist here, and then like getting our house together. So it wasn't a convenient time at all. And I definitely could have been one of those people to say, you know, I have a lot going on right now, but I just said like, whatever. And I took a chance on it. So because I joined the business when I did, I was able to like pay, I think maybe $400 worth of last minute stuff for the wedding, which was like, oh my God, like, look at me, like I might make something of this. But that's where I was, like, educationally, I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
no. Hi, Grant. So I love so much about your story, but I want you to go back for a second to like when you said, you know, that's when the self-loathing part hit. And like I think that, and like just the feeling bad for yourself, and you know, just the awareness of life, because like that's a quick turnaround from college to finding a job to getting into another medical, like to PTA school, and then doing all these things, right? And we can feel like I'm adulting.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, but like the money to pay for adulting is.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like with each new step, right? Like moving, getting a house, getting engaged, getting married, starting a family, you have no time to financially get caught up when you don't start at like a good place. And that's where I was. And let me tell you about my Domino's account. I was earning a free pizza. Like you get a free pizza every like twice a month. I kid you not, you guys, I gained so much weight. So then, oh my gosh, like
Let me tell you how my Domino's account is going to be the title of the Zoom.
I could go. But yeah, I was just in like a dark place, and then I was like, what am I doing binge eating when I have to be fitted in the wedding dress I've already picked out in like 5 months or whatever. But yeah, it was not like a good point, and I was like, I felt so lost. I was like, I'm always going to be depending on Grant. Like, what the freaking hell? And like, he's such a good guy. I've been with dirt bags. And I'm like, I want to be able to give back to him because he's done so much for me. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. So when you joined, you were like $200 and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good if I just do $200. But in the back of your head, you probably had seen or heard other people's stories, right? And we're just kind of like, okay, but like $200 is cool, but like if
Mm-hmm.
I could, do more, that would be great. So how did your belief start to grow?
I think what really made my belief grow was tuning in, because for me, I was trying to be self-taught as much as possible, because I mean, yeah, I was blowing Connie's phone up till it was probably dead at noon, but still, I was like, any chance I got, like on my commute to work, I was listening to like top leader training calls or their stories on YouTube. And the stories I was hearing of people like retiring their husbands, like that, and like on top of paying off everything and getting the life that they want, the house that they want, but they were retiring their husbands. And I was like, dude, like, I still don't know if he'll ever let me, even if I get, even if I get Black Diamond, I don't know if he'll let me. But I was like, how cool would that be? But it started with, okay, my goal is going to be that I can have the same off days as my husband, because I was working Monday through Friday. His off days were Mondays and Tuesdays. And it's like, dude, when are we going to get time together? It's like, okay, I moved across the country from you and I never see you. Because at first he was like working nights and then just gone. He's still gone for sometimes 12 to 16 hours a day. But that's when it started shifting, when I was seeing like, okay, it is possible. And I was like, these girls really aren't anything crazy. Like, they're normal people. So that's what kind of instilled like, okay, I can do it too.
Yeah, and I think too that it's important for everybody to know, like, at least for me, this is how I view it. It's not like all of a sudden overnight you get this belief. It's
Mm-hmm.
like this incremental increase.
It grew. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It was probably like from the time I like talked to you and then I started watching YouTubes. I want to say it was 2 to 3 months into the business, which, I mean, you guys, that's kind of the time everyone falls off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not working and they quit. And it's like, hang on a little bit freaking longer. Tune in, please, God. It develops as you develop. Thank you, Alexis. Yes. So
Yeah.
good.
And it's so true. It develops as you develop, because it's not, like I said, it's not like, oh, the flower grew overnight, right? It's a slow process and it starts to bloom. And then, like, for me, at one point when I thought I had bloomed, then another whole branch started to grow. And I was like, oh my God, like, dang, because you can't see it all overnight and you're not supposed to. And so if you are hearing some of these stories and maybe you're new, maybe this is one of the first Zooms you've gotten on and you're like, okay, well, I'm with her, I just want like $200. That's okay. That's okay. And that's going to take you as far as you need to, as long as you continue to develop yourself. And so why don't we talk about kind of how you got started, the first people you messaged, because you kind of hit the ground running a little bit.
Yeah, so after my 2 weeks after hitting that submit button, like hiding in my closet, like, no, I'm not going to post till my starter kit gets here. At that time, wraps came with the starter pack, and that was the product that I wrote off. Didn't work, remember, like 4 or 5 years prior, but I used it right. I drank my water, I took my before picture, and then boom, 8 hours later, I had a before and after, and it was like, damn. So I put it up, and I had like, I think 8 customers with just from like that post. So I started just taking all the advice, right? Like a fishbowl, put it all in here. And I just started doing everything I could. And I was working full time, but I was waking up earlier. I was going to bed later. And I think like my first 3 people to get charted for Ruby, I want to say I was charted for Ruby before like my 60-day mark, maybe. But they were just seeing me posting about what this business was going to do for me, right? Because I didn't have a story, but I knew what I wanted. So, and I was no over pro at that moment. Like, I was just seeing what other people were putting on their story, how they were sharing the opportunity. I'm like, okay, I don't like make 10,000 a month yet, but like, okay, I want to make 200 a month. I want to gradually, eventually pay off my debts. And these were all people who could relate with that. Like, they had the student loan debt and they were like, hey sister, like, I'll do it with you. Keep in mind, they all fell off. Like, my first 3 distributors completely ghosted, like never worked. But I said, you know what? I'm going to go for 500 a month. And I ended up promoting to Ruby my wedding month, right? I joined in April. I got married in June. And I did okay at midnight. And then July 1st, it said Ruby. Now here's a little roadblock. Connie had like made the announcement, put it on Facebook, Kelsey's Ruby. Blah. So the 7th, sometime between the 1st and the 7th, my 3rd distributor, right, to at the time be Ruby or whatever the charts looked like then, She called and canceled her account without telling me. Right. So then on payday, it was like, you're not Ruby, bro. And I'm like, what the heck? And I was like, I had like my pity party for maybe an hour or two. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like, I'm going to find someone else and I'm going to go Ruby because someone wants this with me. And I ended up going officially Ruby, paid as Ruby the next month. So that was like my first roadblock. And I think a lot of people that wouldn't want to made them like quit. Right. And that was kind of like, I think God tested me, like, how bad do you really want it? What if I throw this little wrench in there, girlfriend? And I was like, okay, I'll keep going. So that was Ruby in July. And then the next month was Emerald. And then I was like, ooh, I'm going to pay off my debt here real quick. Cause I mean, I was kind of getting like paid as a high Emerald and I was feeling it. And I was starting to, that's when the people who, some people are still with me, were starting to join. And I was like, okay, like getting a team here. A lot of people still not working, but we're still going to do this, like keep trucking along. And then I want to say 2 months later was the next promotion, right? So Diamond. But in between those 2 periods, there was another wrench thrown. I ended up being convinced by Connie and I think Kelsey and a few others to go to green carpet. And I was like, okay, like, let's do this. Everyone says, get around the fire. I'm going to get around the fire, even though it's all the way in Michigan and I live in New York and I hardly have PTO. So I think I ended up getting in trouble with work for it. And I said, screw it. Because at that point I was like, I'm going to be quitting my job eventually. Bye. I don't care what you say about me. So the morning I was at the airport, I actually started spotting. We had found out I was pregnant a week or 2 before. And that's another thing. I was like, am I supposed to go to this now? Do I keep going? So I ended up going and I had an amazing time, even though like in the back of my head, like I knew what was happening. And I had such a great time. That's when I like caught vision. I like signed a distributor there when we got the announcement of like $25, $50 kits. And I was on fire and I was feeling it. And then I got home and we had miscarriage and I was in a slump for a long time. And I was like, do I worry about my health and just like stay quiet and forget the business for a while, or do I keep going? But a few days after that, I returned to work and I was getting emails from my boss's boss, who kind of has a say-so with pay and everything. She was telling me that I wasn't going to get paid sick days that I had earned. And I was like fuming. And I was like, who is going to tell me that I literally went through like a big medical issue here, right? Like I can't control that. And I have earned sick days and they're not going to pay me my sick days. That ticked me off and I was like, I'm going to be my own boss. That's when I for sure knew like I wanted to quit my job and I knew I needed to get to at least double to do that. So I think 2 months later, I did hit Diamond and that was the month I paid off my student loan debt. I paid off my credit card debt. You guys, 8 months of the business, I paid off, no, 7 months, I paid off my credit card and my student loan debt. If I didn't have this extra income, that probably would have taken me 2+ years, especially 2+ years, because life keeps happening. Like I said, your engagements, your weddings, your families, attending other people's weddings and birthday parties, money, 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 money. So I'm just saying, like, without this business, I would not have been able to pay off and get ahead the way that I did. And if I could go back, like I wish I would have thought of that. Maybe I would have gone even harder in the beginning, but everything's like God's timing, so it's fine. And then after Diamond, I think it then took me 2 to 3 months to go double. And that's when I was able to go part-time at my job. We were pregnant. So like the month of my birthday, our pregnancy announcement, I think, and promoting to double, like was all in the same month. And I was like, here we go. And I've been sitting at double for over a year because I got complacent and I stopped dreaming. Like that was my goal, to get down to part-time for the rest of my pregnancy so I could relax and focus on my business. But I just gave in to that, oh, I'm tired because I'm pregnant, like a little too much, like a lot too much. So we are going for triple this month. I'll keep saying it until I am there. And it's been an amazing 2 and some odd month years. That's my story for
love
now.
it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So first off, I want to say thank you for sharing your story and like being vulnerable, because I know it's not easy to talk about some things. And it's really cool to talk about paying off debt and paying off student loans and all of that. But to put on in addition to say I was paying off student loans, I was working my business, I was paying off credit card debt, and I also was having a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's something that not everybody can say, and not that it's like a badge of honor of like, oh, I had a miscarriage and like everybody should feel sorry for me, but it's a thing of it's like it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens to a lot of women, unfortunately. But the amazing thing is it didn't stop you from being able to provide for the pregnancy that you had dreamed of. It didn't
Exactly.
stop you from continuing to go, because we can all rationalize and empathize with somebody who's going through something so horrible like a miscarriage and say it's okay, take a step back, it's fine, don't work your business, it's not a big deal, you need to take care of you. But you showed that both can be done. And I love that, because I think that in order to take care of ourselves, it's not just a physical thing, it's an emotional thing. And a lot of times when we go through these things, having the support system, having the encouragement, having the ability to be surrounded by people who, even if they don't know what you're going through, they're still cheering you on. They're still
Mm-hmm.
supporting you. They're still going to be there. They're still going to walk with you every step of the way and encourage you. And just to know that you didn't give up, even though you were going through those things at inopportune times, right when you were going to green carpet, right when you were doing these things. And it's like, Merp, this isn't feel good, but you still got stuff out of it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's such an incredible piece that I want everybody to hear, because right now, all of us can write down 10 things that we're going through. Whether you're going through depression, anxiety, maybe you're going through a miscarriage right now. Maybe you're going through infertility. Maybe you're going through a child who has medical issues. Maybe you're going just through an emotional shift. Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe you're going through whatever. And knowing that this business is still here for you. And nobody's saying, nope, you can't get paid. Nope, you can't take those days that you've earned. Nope, you can't have that money that you earned, just because you need to take a second for yourself. And a second doesn't mean 3 months. A second means a day. A second means maybe it's an hour where you just go cry on your couch. But the beautiful thing is this business is so graceful. And that's what I love about it. And that's why so many people are able to do both, right? It's because the grace that is allowed in this business, not just because of the nature of how the structure of the business is, but because of the people in it. And so I appreciate you sharing that. And I know that it's not easy to talk about. It's not easy to go through, but the reality is like, you're so much stronger, and it's not even that you became stronger, but the strength had to come out that was always in you, right? It was
Yeah,
always in you.
self-development prepared me so much for like that month. And even I think it was the month before, because like one of my best friends from high school died. And it was tragic. And it was like, I heard the details of it. Someone told me the details. And I'm like, why did you tell me that? And like, I grew up in the church, right? I went to church every single Sunday. And my grandpa always took me because my mom was always working to provide for us. She was a single mom. And then he had his stroke and I fell off the faith bandwagon. I was like mad at God. I didn't go to church. I wasn't reading the Bible. I wasn't doing anything. And then this business, like it took that long from the age of 12 to 24, I think, when this found me. Like that's how long I went without God, pretty much. Did I believe in him? Yeah. Was I ever talking to him? No. Was I praying when I needed to pray? Like when stuff was already like hitting the fan? Yeah. But that's the thing, is like, because I had somebody to talk to and I knew that something better was coming, that's what got me through all of my hardships in this business. And I'm still so grateful. And like Kelsey's like our pastor basically. And I'm just, no, she knows she is. Like she brought us all here. And if you're not religious, that's fine, because I wasn't religious either, but my life is so much more at calm. And like I have so much confidence because I have like a higher power to invest in. So that really prepared me for everything that I went through for sure.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I was literally dying. Probably just woke my kids up for this little laugh that I just gave. But good thing I was muted. But so I love it. And I think that that's something too that a lot of times too, it's like when people push it on you, it's like, no, like I'm good. I've been there, done that, right? But it's when you don't do it necessarily in the right way. And I think that like you don't when it's not forced on you, when it's not shoved down your throat, but it's just presented to you, and then
It's
you see
available.
people, yeah, it's available, and you see people who are acting in ways that are congruent and equal to the things that the church talks about, then it's way easier to get on board.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that. And I think that it's so true that like it can help so many people find their faith and realize that whatever I'm going through right now is temporary. That greater is coming, that the best is yet to come, that, he didn't bring me this far to only bring me this far. And it's so much easier to get through things when you have that mentality. Okay. So let's talk about what your day looks like and how that's changed since having a babe, because you are at home, and talk about that transition.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can speak on 3 different, like, I know there's everyone on here has different walks of life, different careers. So I started with working full time, then down to part-time and miserably pregnant. And then now being a stay-at-home mom. So my days when I was working full time, like, keep in mind, I had that mentality after hearing somebody say it on a training Zoom, temporary sacrifice for long-term results. I think that's the quote. And so I was like, okay, do I love my sleep? Oh, heck yes. Like, I love 9 to 10 hours of sleep every night. And I realized, that's probably not going to happen anymore if I really like want the things I say that I want, right? If I want to make that extra money a month, if I want to pay off my debts. So I was waking up anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour earlier before work, and short-term sacrifice, not temporary, yes. And then going to bed later. My husband probably hated me the first 6 months because I was like, I don't have time for you. Like, if I could go back, don't do that, guys. Like, when your husband gets home from work, have 1 hour with him, please. But, I was saying like, no, I can't watch Netflix. No, I can't do that. And if I would pick up my phone, I would just make sure I am intentional with it. Like, I'm not picking it up to scroll on Instagram or Facebook, nowadays TikTok, but really just doing what I kind of promised to myself. Because I used to always quit at things. And I'm like, well, this is something I really shouldn't quit at. So, and then also with work, I think it was 30-minute lunch breaks, and I would dedicate that to sending out messages, getting up my algorithm post, adding to my story. Any free time I had, I would go extra breaks to the bathroom. They're probably like, does this girl have a UTI? Why is she going to the bathroom every 20 minutes? And I was doing everything I could. And guys, it paid off, right? Because I started for that $200 a month, and then I was paid as Ruby, my 4th month. So it was so worth it. And I just kept going. And then, so that was my life from April to like February, just hustle mindset. You gotta have the hustle music on sometimes, and sometimes you gotta have the prayer music. And then going down to part-time, like I said, this is when I started kind of falling off my rocker, right? I had gone double. That was like my goal. I thought triple was a unicorn, so I wasn't really even thinking about it. Like, was I charted at one point for triple at that point? Yes. But were the people under me wanting it like me? No. Like, I was like,
but
yeah,
let me talk on this for a second.
Okay, you talk on it.
Because I think this is what you were talking about when you said not dreaming. And this is why it's so important to dream, because dreams take time. That's what people don't realize. A dream that we think about, right? Like what we think about as a dream is you go to sleep and you dream and then you wake up. Okay. But when you're talking about a dream, like a goal, like a vision for your future, right? Those take time to develop. It doesn't happen overnight. And so when people say you need to start dreaming bigger, then people get stuck from double to triple. It's because the dream hasn't formulated yet, because it needs time. right? It has to marinate. And so I think sometimes what happens is we just think, okay, because when we hop in, most of the time, we've already been thinking and watching that person and thinking, oh, well, if I could just have like $500 and that girl has like $50 million, and like, I'm good, right? Like, I just need 500. But your brain hasn't really formulated for the next, but like, you've seen it. So once you get to these numbers that you never thought you could get to, if you haven't already started dreaming, then you're going to get complacent. It just happens, because in that time of complacency is when your other dreams are starting to grow and develop. And it takes time. And so that's why I always encourage you to think not one step, but 2 steps ahead. Because like for Kelsey, she's going for triple, but she should already be thinking about prize money, right? She should already be thinking about what her presidential team looks like, who she wants on there. If you're going for diamond, you should already be thinking about double. And I'm not saying you have to be chartered. I'm saying your dreams have to start thinking there. That's where your mind has to go, because if you build it, they will come. But it starts here. Okay, go ahead.
So good. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say. But yeah, basically, once I hit that double income, because keep in mind, when I went double, my husband went diamond, and I'm over here like, money, like, here we go. And so I was finally able, like, guys, the most I ever personally paid on anything, it had to be like less than $500. So when I could split down the middle with my husband a $2,000 new sectional couch, I was like, damn. When I could split our $3,000 nursery furniture, I was like, damn, here we are. And I'm like putting paper in savings. I had never had a savings account in my life. Okay. And we were building up a savings. And then I just was like, okay, give myself grace. Let me enjoy my pregnancy and not stress myself out. When really it's like, holy crap, I made a whole bunch of stress for myself by the time my son was born. And I had dropped, I don't even know how many ranks. And I'm like, where is my money? Like, where did that paycheck go? If my cat doesn't shut up, okay, it's fine. But I was like, dang, like, this is what I get for giving myself too much grace, you know? And I wasn't dreaming. I did things I said I was going to do. I paid off my debt. I had technically the same off days as my husband, and I wasn't being as connected as I used to be anymore. I wasn't like getting on the team Zooms. I wasn't doing my self-development. I wasn't watching the YouTube trainings that used to fire me up. Like, I stopped everything that got me to where like I wanted to be. And so I will always kick myself in the butt for that. But
yeah,
just
and I think
past,
this is important, because I think so often, you know, the fall off doesn't come one day. It's a gradual process, right? And so I think that this is where holding yourself accountable, holding your team accountable comes into play, because I want you guys to think about this. It's like, you texted people to get on the Zoom tonight. Okay. If you didn't, you should have. But if you did, you texted them. Even if they didn't get on, it's your job to call them tomorrow if they're on your team and say, hey, did you watch the Zoom? It was really good. Okay, cool. I'll send you the recording, right? And don't let it be easy for people to slip off, because I've also been in the mindset where I'm like, oh, they don't want it? Bye. Like, that's not my problem. Go ahead. Right? But that's not good either. And so you have to find yourself to where you are holding yourself accountable to getting on this stuff, to watching the replay if you can't get on, to doing your development, whatever that looks like, because it's different for everybody, but doing it for you, and then also holding your team accountable to doing it as well. Don't make it easy for your team to quit. Stop making it easy for them to quit. Call them. I don't care. We're not in romantic relationships with these people. Who cares if they think you're a stalker? That means you care about their success, right? Oh, they didn't text me back. Oh, okay. So you're not dating? You're trying to help them get rich, right? You're trying to help them get their dreams, accomplish their goals, accomplish their things. And you ain't going to do that by getting butthurt that somebody didn't text you back. You're just not. You're not helping anybody that way. And so sometimes we have to get over ourselves and help hold people accountable that way. And so what Kelsey is saying is that number one, she wasn't doing that. She wasn't getting on the Zooms, but she also wasn't holding her team accountable. So then when that happens, your team can fall off. Right? Because if you stop getting on the Zooms, who's holding them accountable to get on the Zooms? Right? And it doesn't mean by just asking one time. I mean, if Connie's not on here, but you best believe I'm about to message Connie after this and be like, dude, you have to watch the recording. It was so good. And then if she doesn't, I'm going to be like, make sure you send me your aha moment. Right? Hey, did you watch that Zoom? And Connie's like, Kels, I didn't watch it yet. Like, this is what conversations we have all the time. Okay. And it goes with everybody. And I think that that's the stuff that we have to get over ourselves for, because 5 years ago when I started, I would get so mad when people wouldn't respond to me. I'd be like, well, I guess they just don't want it as bad as I do. Okay. Like, come on. Like, let's be real. Like, it doesn't, like, we're not in a game to see who wants it bad enough. We're here to see who wants it at all. There is room for everybody. And so we can't keep using it as an excuse that my team doesn't want it. How do you know? Because they didn't respond to 1 or 2 text messages of yours. And I think that sometimes we just have to like get over ourselves when it comes to that. And so, and when Kelsey says she gave herself too much grace, I don't want you to think that you can't give yourself grace. You absolutely can. But grace can't become a hall pass for being lazy.
Yep. It'll bite you in the butt.
That's not really what grace even is. Grace doesn't mean not doing anything. But grace is forgiveness for doing things that you messed up on, right? Or an understanding that it's okay, get back up, right? But it doesn't mean not doing anything. That's not grace. That's just laziness. And in the Bible, I'm about to preach for a second because this is so true. And this was one of the first. This is the first time when I read like one of the first verses I remember reading in the Bible being like, dang, Jesus is telling the truth. Okay. Literally. And he said, and I don't even know what Proverbs it is, but I know it's in Proverbs, and it says, a little more rest, a little more folding of the hands to sleep, and poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Jesus writes that. I mean, Jesus doesn't write it. Whoever wrote Proverbs writes it, but it's in the Bible. Okay. So Jesus, so it's in the Bible, but what I'm here to tell you is it's the truth. Mm-hmm. It's the truth. And so don't confuse laziness with giving yourself grace, because that's just a Christian cover up for laziness. Grace can be. And so don't use it as that. Just if you need to rest, but don't be lazy. There's the two different things. Okay. I don't know. I cut you off, so I don't even know where you were heading with that.
No, I think like we covered everything. I was a lazy butt.
No.
No. It's so freaking true, because you better believe I was watching Netflix when I was working my business. I don't feel good, but I can like stare at a TV for 10 hours. What's wrong with me? But yeah, ever since then, I mean, like more stuff happened, right? Like my son was born, and guys, that was not a good experience. Like I can't even say that my son's day of birth was the best day of my life, because he almost died. Like they had to resuscitate him, and then we had the NICU, and then after the NICU, like right when we got out, he had to start getting put in the cast because he had club foot. So 3 months of wearing a cast, that's a pain in the butt. And then the colic, you guys, my son he's so cute, but he had so many problems that drove me to, like, I don't have help. My family is 12 hours away. My husband works 16 hours a day. That's what we were on. So like the transition after part-time, right? So now I'm a full-time mom. Like I said, I don't have support. My last break was a 6-hour date night going to a concert with my husband back in November. That was it. But basically this has made me level up my mindset more than anything. Like I am not perfect. I have days where maybe I don't give my 100%, but I learned like I at least need to do what I can, like my non-negotiables. And yeah, so after his 3 months of casting, he went in to have surgery as a 3-month-old. And it's like, all this stuff is happening. So since then, like medically, everything's kind of calmed down. But, you know, now I'm facing the challenges of a baby who literally wakes up every day with like a new person, mood swings, and going through these leaps, you know, those dang leaps where they have mood swings and cry and scream and do all the things. But basically, I am tripling up on self-development. Any free time I have, like shower, check, cooking, check, working while the baby's crying, turn up the volume, check. Like I have something on to fill up my brain because like I need to care about myself. And really, I'm still getting into the habit of it, but making sure I do, because at least, you know, the kid sleeps through the night, 9 to 10 hours a night. So if I know he normally wakes up in between 7:30 and 8:30, I need to be waking up at least an hour early so I can do something for me, right? Because you can't give to other people, especially like not only to your child, but to your team if you have a business, unless like you give to yourself first. So I try to wake up, have the time for me to fill my cup. And otherwise, because when I wasn't doing that, I was having mental breakdowns, right? Like, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So you have to, if you're like a single mom, not a single mom. Hi, Grant. if your husband's
Grant,
not
we love you. It's fine.
you don't have help with your child, please take care of yourself.
I got you these.
Oh my gosh, I love this. The Domino's credit card
It's gonna be on YouTube.
and Smirnoff seltzers. Oh no, but I love it because it's so real. And like Brian, you know, Brian was a basketball coach and he was gone. Well, like that. He was gone so much.
Right.
And it's hard when, you know, and this is not them. They're doing every single thing they can to provide.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the reality of understanding you're in this routine. And then when they come back, it's a whole new routine. And then when they come back, it's another routine. And then when they leave,
No, yes.
and it's like, I had it down. And then you come in and it's just even, it gets different when they get older because then they're like the fun dad and you're like the mean mom. And then it's like, you know, like there's this whole dynamic that goes on. But I think that the reality of it is there's just always adjustments. That's really what it comes down to. It's always an adjustment. And it's an adjustment because the stage your kid is in. It's an adjustment because of the way your home life is situated, when career shifts or when something shifts. It's just always an adjustment. And because we're all developing, just as your kid is developing, you're developing as a person. Grant's changing as a person. And so learning how to navigate through life with all of the adjustments and changes that happen is not easy. You know, but we all have to just be ready for the change and for the adjustments and take it in stride, because I always tell people the moment I thought I had a routine down, the next day something changed. You know,
Okay, every week
that worked so good yesterday.
Yeah.
Why did it not work today?
I just have to say before I forget that every single week on Grant's off days, I like literally have to rediscipline myself because I'm starting the new Take Sabbath right on Sundays because, you know, I was listening to, I think it was Michael Todd. Yeah. And that's when it hit me. I'm like, if I don't do this, I am missing out on something. So I started taking the Sabbath. I know a lot of people are starting to. And now usually that's Grant's off day. So that kind of works. Like, okay, I love you. I'll pay attention to you. But then his next off day, it's like, okay, reset, Kelsey. Like, you still have to wake up early. You still have to get your work done. I don't care if Grant wants to drive 3 hours to the beach. You better be doing something on that commute. Like, you have to work. And because like those days, even if it's 2 days a week that you start falling off, like it adds up so much. So I've learned to just like, I think discipline, that word's on my my lock screen. Like I need that. That's why I struggle with as like a blue, you know?
Yes.
So
well, let's say how many people do you message a day, would you say?
So like usually I do host to post messaging, minimum of 20 for that. And like being honest, I hardly ever get any responses. So I probably need to start upping that. And then I try to do cold messages on Instagram. I never thought I'd be that girl, but like for potential distributors and stuff, I actively am always looking to adding people to like my potential list for that. So reaching out to them. And sometimes it's not even like, hey, I think you'd be so good at what I do, but it would be 5 to 10 messages of like interacting, like intentionally getting to know them so that when I do present the opportunity, like they know my name and I'm not a stranger. So like close to 30, 25 minimum though.
Okay. So let's do say 25. And if you missed 2 days a week, that's 2,600 messages you would be missing in a course of a year.
So many people.
And so even though it just is 1 or 2 days a week, it's understanding how that compounds and adds up. It's 2,600 people a year. And if you wonder what's separating the people who aren't, and it's not the fact that you can't take a Sabbath, it's the fact that being intentional with the days that you are doing the business, because there's a difference between working the business and building your business. Are you working it or are you building it? Right? And building is your enrollments. And a lot of times we're just not doing the things that lead to the enrollments. And so, okay, so let's get back on track. What is one piece of advice you would want to give to somebody right now who is maybe just in like an odd space? They're, trying to hop back in, but they're kind of like half in, half out.
Just like that question, ask yourself, like, what's your current source of income? Are you working full time? Are you depending on your husband? Okay. Is continuing that going to get you the results that you want a year from now? Or are you still going to be stuck in that same place that was your why for joining, right? Because I think it's like so common, we tend to let, oh, I joined for this reason, but now that's the excuse of why I can't work my business, right? Because it's like, okay, you're so good with analogies, so I should probably just let you do it. But like, let's say, oh, I'm joining because I want more time with my baby. I want to come home to my baby, right? But then 2 months get rough, right? You're hustling, you're doing the things that everyone tells you to do, and you're like, I don't have enough time with my baby. I can't do this anymore. And it's like, no, like you are going to have so much time if you just keep pushing. So just like keep your blinders on and like keep dreaming. Because we know what happened when I stopped dreaming.
Well, and I think I love that. And I think it's so true. It's just like getting honest with yourself, guys. Getting honest. Like, why did you do this? Why did you start this? Stop allowing yourself to rationalize why this can't work for you. Because if that why is strong enough, then the process of what it takes to achieve that shouldn't really matter that much. Because so often we view this as, oh, I have to do this, oh, I have to do this. No, we get to do this. Because what's the alternative? What's the alternative? You going back to work with people who don't even honor your sick days? And I think we just forget. We just forget how crucial it is. And that, you know what, the things I always say, because I find myself doing this. So I always remind myself, don't curse what you prayed for. Mm-hmm. Don't curse what you prayed for. So all of the frustrating things that are happening in your business, oh my gosh, I feel so overwhelmed. Oh my gosh, so many host to posts are blowing up. Oh my gosh, I don't have time to respond to all these people who are blowing up the host to post. Stop cursing what you prayed for. Right? You're gonna, listen, drop a 5 in the comments if you've been overwhelmed in this business. If you've been overwhelmed in this business, drop a 5. I'm just gonna tell you, prepared for it to stay that way. Mm-hmm. Just be prepared for it to stay that way, because being overwhelmed isn't a bad thing. It can be a really awesome thing. How many times as a mom have you felt overwhelmed? Your whole dang life as a mom, okay? Your whole dang life as a mom. It doesn't mean that you weren't called to do this. Because you feel overwhelmed does not mean that you weren't called or equipped to do this. Because you were overwhelmed in this business does not mean you weren't called or equipped to do this. So stop getting in your feelings and start doing the things that are going to get you results and get you the reason why you joined this business. Because it's still available to you. The opportunity, the same opportunity why you joined is the same thing that you wanted when you joined is still available to you. You just have to go get it. You just have to go get it. So, okay, I'm gonna let you finish with anything that you want to say.
So good. Oh, how do I even end? Like you just the end. Like you know, just you have to stop looking for other people to believe in you, I think is something like I learned. Like, don't count on your enroller, don't count on your family, don't count on your friends. Like, you need to believe in yourself, or like that's where it starts. Like,
So
number one thing. It's not waking up and doing your motivational quote. It's not waking up and doing messages. Like, wake up and believe in your freaking self. If you have to scream in the mirror and like say your affirmations, I am triple diamond, I am patient, I am loving, then you have to do it. But if you don't start your day with something positive about yourself, you're never going to get where you want to in the business, or at least get there at the pace that you deserve to get there. So be your own best friend and be your own boss, right? Like, are you working right now? And like, if you were your own boss, would you pay yourself that income that you want? Would you pay yourself that $2,000 a month? Probably not. That's what woke me up. Like, am I deserving of that though? Like, no, I wasn't. But yeah, that's my final note.
That's good. Would you pay you?
Mm-hmm.
Would you pay you? Because you owe it to yourself to see what would happen if you don't give up. So just keep going. Kelsey, I'm so freaking proud of you. I'm so proud of your growth.
Thanks for the Dominos and seltzer. Like, thanks for hanging out with that.
I'm just waiting for you to crack one open here. Like, oh my gosh. I'm so seriously so proud of you. I'm going to close this out in prayer. Dear Lord, we just want to say thank you so much for just the time that we had together tonight. Thank you for the friendships that you've created in this business, that you've just perfectly orchestrated everything up until this point. And we know that you've already orchestrated the end, and we're so grateful for the people that you've connected us to. We're especially grateful for Kelsey, and we just ask that you continue to bless her business, that you just continue to grow her mind, that you just use her in ways that she would never imagine. And we just ask that you continue to keep Robbie safe, that we pray for abundance and blessings over Grant as well, with his career opportunities. And Lord, we're just in all of you and the way you work. As we go forward, Lord, we ask that you order our steps, that you bless us as we continue to grow and learn. Sometimes it can be hard and scary, and we'll go through things that we never thought we would go through. And we just ask that you allow us to lean on you, to take some of your strength and not try to rely on our own strength, but just be people who can say that we don't want to do it alone, because we don't want to rely on our own strength, but we want to rely on yours. And so we're grateful for the blessings, yes, but also for the valleys, because that's where your strength can be shown, where you can kind of show the strength that we've always had inside of us, that you've put in there, that we can put on display. And so, Lord, we thank you for the valleys, but we also thank you for the mountaintops. We're excited because the best is yet to come, and we thank you in advance for everything that is just going to be orchestrated in our lives. We love you. In your name we pray. Amen. I love you guys.
Thank you, Pastor Kels.
Thank you, Kelsey, so much for blessing us tonight. This was so good. Bye.